Time to call the Port of Coupeville meeting for March 26, 2025 to order, and we start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm Mary Ann Burr, Commissioner for District 1.
I'm John McSantic, present, District 2.
Martin Vanderpass, present, Commissioner for District 3.
I do have a change to the agenda myself. It was the weather forecast that called it to mind. I would like us to put an item on the agenda for hazard management. I'm not sure where it would go.
Is this a conversation between you three? Or are you gonna be firing questions at me?
I want to talk about lightning rods.
Could be discussion. Let's go to
If
commissioner
we can
discussion.
go into discussion, then that's fine.
Commissioner discussion.
Okay.
Like it's gonna take like a long time or something. Table will take.
We'll do it under number 10.
Yeah, let's do that.
Commissioner discussion.
And then we are gonna be canceling the executive session today.
Okay,
So,
that's another.
section
another
9 will be
change.
omitted.
9 is canceled.
Yep.
And 10 will include hazard management. And now we have time for public comment. This is the time for public to address the commissioners on agenda items or other concerns. The board will consider all comments, but typically will not take immediate action. Please state your name, city of residence, and limit your comments to 5 minutes.
There is no public participation.
All right, we will move on to vouchers. Is Don with us today? Yeah.
There is.
I've got a couple questions on the P and L, profit and loss.
Well, we're doing.
No, that's not the right place. On the list, that was the details of what ended up being our voucher list. I had a couple questions because I did not, I wanted to know more about the problem with Jeffrey Dalton's check. I thought all of our payroll was automatic deposit, and so I didn't understand.
Oh, okay. Jeffrey Dalton's check is a reimbursement. What happened is that he had tried to deposit old checks, and usually because of mobile depositing, they honor them, but due to the extra careful eye that Key Bank has for the county, they rejected them.
Okay, I've got another question. I was never made aware that there was any checks issued by the court. That could be my fault.
Expense checks are issued. They're
By
physical
whom?
checks.
Who writes the checks?
The county.
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
We-
you're talking
We're
about,
talking about like cell phone expenses,
okay,
travel
Yeah.
expenses, mileage.
Got
That's
it.
a physical check, but all payroll is electronic.
Yeah.
okay, that difference wasn't ever
Yep.
clear in
Yep,
my
that's
mind.
okay. No worries.
Who physically has the checkbook and signs the check? Don?
The county.
Oh,
Okay, so
no, the
Don-
county
so-
does.
So Don kind of submits a
Yeah,
request to
so
the county.
this form that you guys signed, this voucher request form, approves those expenses. Then Donna puts those into the county system and they run
And
the
Don-
voucher and they print the checks.
They print those checks.
Then they go pick up the checks and mail the vendors and then hand me the physical checks to hand out to my staff.
That's
Got it.
exactly the
Thank you.
way my
Yeah.
water district pays.
Yep. Yeah, we don't have a checkbook.
Got it.
I see.
There was also an item for $6,769 to the Historic Society for Interpretive Science. Are those made yet?
They're being printed.
Okay,
Yep.
could you tell me a little bit about the,
Quickly, we have 5 brand new for the first time ever interpretive signs that
how
are
big?
2 feet by 3 feet.
Okay, and they will go on the wharf?
The 4 of them will go on the wharf themselves, stationed in very particular locations. And then 1 will be out towards the entryway to the wharf, looking up Front Street, which will show the history of Front Street and so.
Okay, I was just, the amount made me want to make sure.
Sure.
So that was paid on the contract to have them made.
Yes, we worked with with Dalva Church and Museum.
Uh-huh.
We have a great partnership with them, and Murray and Mary have been working with her very closely. So we're gonna see two invoices. This is for all the labor, pictures, everything that was put together for the panels, and then you're gonna see an additional charge for the 5 types of frames that will come in to hold these up. So when
Okay,
you go down the wharf and you see that one interpretive panel on the right that has sea life and birds and stuff, it will be similar to that around the wharf. And this is something that's never been done before. So bringing the history into the public. And then I'll share with you after the meeting. I'll share with you all the panels, and you're gonna have little scan codes up at the right that will take you to all that information at the library.
Okay, so the frame, have not been built yet, and
No.
that is an upcoming charge.
It's an upcoming charge because right now we know where the signs are going to go, but we're in the process of rehabilitating, replacing all the hand railing around the entire wharf. And so when we install those frames, we want to make sure that we're installing them against new wood. And as John would say, not wood.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a third question about, at the bottom of the list was an item called allocate. And I don't know what that means. It had something to do with accounting.
Okay, are you talking about the actual commissioner's AP report?
Yeah.
Under the visa. Okay, so what that is,
Allocate in capital letters.
yeah.
There's it
Um,
in the-
It's way at the bottom.
it's the third page of the commissioner's AP report, and it's under visa.
Oh, yeah, I see. That's my.
So,
I know.
yeah. That means that when we get the actual statement, yeah, and I think I explained it in the email that basically there was a lot of operating expenses that were charged on the credit card this period, even though we just made a payment for the previous statement. And what happened is that we needed to make a payment on the credit card as soon as possible because we need to order a computer.
Yeah, we had like $4,000 worth of expenses hit in the first week of March. Now we paid the February bill, but we only paid a couple grand. And so we had all these things hit really hard. It was just bad time. It happens about once every 2 or 3 years, where it's like, ooh, and so we're just doing a second pay. We're staying on top of it.
It's a credit card thing.
It's a credit card thing.
That's all I need
That's all it
to know.
is.
So the $2,000 ask my account allocate was for a computer.
No. There was miscellaneous charges that we were unsure of. One of them was for, I think it was for, I can't
Well,
remember.
we had the monkey bars come in. That was the donation, which we paid for the donation. My computer
Yeah.
blew. We had to pay the website people because I missed their billing. And just a bunch of stuff just kind of hit us all at once. We had to get new tracks for the wharf project on the new ramp in the back. It was just one of those things where in a week time, we had to put a lot on the credit card to get some things ordered and stay on schedule. So it just,
I mean, I see some other things on the credit card that are itemized out, like Starlink.
those come every month and that got bounced. That's what happens. Starlink bounced, Adobe was gonna bounce. I have things that hit my credit card about $1,000 worth every month for our software licenses and things like that.
So is Starlink on here?
That's
Starlink's on my credit card every month.
would be part of the
Yeah.
visa.
Okay.
Yeah, so they
Yeah.
tried to get my card. It was maxed.
Are there any alternatives to Starlink that we could use to support community?
Oh, well,
Starlink was the
that was the only internet connection out there.
yeah.
And then I'll talk to you one-on-one about the other one.
Okay,
There's a fiber cable running out there.
there is a fiber cable.
I'll talk to you one-on-one about it.
Okay.
At a public meeting.
I'm just not.
So there's special ones for government,
Special what?
whatever you're talking about, Starlink.
No, that's our internet connection out the door.
Excuse me.
So
The only other connection we have is Ziply, and they're out of circuits, and we can't get internet out there. No one can get internet out there.
Mm.
So we had to use Starlink. We were doing a dial-up system, basically, with our old POS system.
Mm.
Now we've
And
got
from,
redundancy, and now we have not only our POS system through Starlink, but we have another system that we run our new security system off of.
I see. The wonders.
Were we cool on whatever we're on?
about this.
Yeah, number 6.1, is that what we're doing? Okay. So,
Are there any more questions about the specific list of expenses we are about to approve in the?
can I read it this time?
Yeah.
I'm getting dusty.
Yeah, you want to lose yourself.
I make a motion that we approve the Port of Coupeville voucher approval document dated March the 26th, 2025, including voucher numbers 25-0336 through 25-0349 for an amount of $118,730.77, and electronic vouchers EFT-0306 and EFT-0307 for a total of $16,827.61, with the total voucher amount being $135,558.38. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
You haven't lost a step, Jim.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous approval.
So we're gonna sign this and then you're up for a financial update. Dawn, you can start sharing your screen.
okay. Excuse me.
Makes sense, John? Does
You're welcome.
that make sense?
I think I sent the sharing is not turned on. I sent the request, but Chris has to get back to his desk.
Sorry, Don.
It's all good.
Good.
Did it? Okay, I think it worked now.
Before you get started, Don, it seemed like you sent us more financials than we normally get.
The special reports.
Yeah,
That she made.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, I did. I did. I figured that it would be a good time to just kind of backtrack and see how we did with our grant collections, how we, I did all the activity for the broadband and the IDD, so that we could see overall the activity that has been happening with our capital projects. So yeah, I did give you a little bit more information than I usually do, because I think this is a good time to do it before we start focusing on 2025's comparables to the budget. I'll be entering that within the next month. I'm just waiting for, I think the county is done with March's and all the adjusting entries, but until I get their reports, I won't know. And usually that's the middle of April, and then I'll be entering in the budget, and I will be completing all annual reports that I have to do for everybody.
That what you just said brings up a question that I've been developing over the many months. You
Mhm.
always refer to the county as having the last word. But isn't it true that the county only has the figures that you have provided them with?
No, they provide me with things like the property taxes, the interest.
Okay,
And
but it's fine.
yeah,
And what else do they give you besides the property tax receipt report?
They also have entries in there that we don't see, merchant services monthly fees. The solar income deposit from PSE. The breakdown between leasehold tax collection and timber tax, just a bunch of different various things that can come throughout every month. The first
And it
3
needs to
months,
balance to a penny.
yeah, and I can't be off any more than a certain amount. I think they've changed it to $1,000 now from 1 year to the next. So I prefer to just wait until the county is done doing all their year-end adjusting entries before I process the annual reports. Because
What is an approximate monthly of these assorted charges that you don't see until the county gives them to you? How much is that usually every month? Is it a huge amount?
It varies.
here,
Sometimes they're not.
I can show you right here on the screen.
Yeah, where is that?
So is it big enough? Do I need to make it bigger?
A little bigger if you could would be good.
Let me see. Plus,
Here you go.
does that work?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Keep going. Let me see.
Hit the positive again, one more time.
Okay.
So
There you go.
what printout are we looking at?
This is the profit and loss by class. And the items that that I don't see until they give it to me is right here.
Well, that I understand. I'm talking about all those extra smaller charges you added to that.
Well,
That you
there
would-
is the interest income here.
Okay,
Merchant services fees here,
okay.
that kind of stuff.
Well, see, it's confusing to me to have to wait all the time to find out how our actual actions are affecting the financial picture of the port, because it seems that it would be so much easier if what we do is here and what the county does is in another list. And
Yeah,
then they're combined at the end.
Yeah,
It's-
I completely understand your frustration because I have the same frustration. But see, here's the perfect example right here. This $1,100 is an adjustment because this $1,171 is actually property taxes collected in for 2024. So,
see.
and I'm only allowed to be off, or no more than $1,000 in adjustments from 1 year to the other. So I have to wait until the county is done making whatever adjustments they need to make.
Yeah, my personal experience over the years with the county treasurer's department is not a smooth one, shall we say. They do make mistakes.
Oh, we
and
all
you
do.
get- Yeah, certainly,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
having what they do mixed in with what we do, I'm hoping that it would be possible to somehow, on these long financial reports, there was a way to separate things so that when somebody like me, a commissioner, wants to know a certain fact, you don't have to go to several pages and look through several long lists to find out what's going on.
I can actually,
I don't know if what I'm asking for is even possible. I'm just sharing.
well, no,
my
actually
frustration.
it is, it can be. For the most part, I do a journal entry for the county, all the county transactions. I can supply you with a copy of those journal entries that I make every month.
That would be helpful. Would they still be included on these sheets that?
Yes. I can't do it separately because I can't make them separately.
Okay,
because
but if I had the separate list, I could go through it and separate them with highlighters or whatever I wanted. Because I'm not a trained accountant, but I know that the numbers are all there if I just knew where to put them.
Yeah, so you'll see a number of journal entries because I also have to do journal entries for the wharf, the harbor master report.
Uh-huh.
And I have to do journal entries for adjustments with tax returns, the sales tax returns or the leaseholder, you know. So you'll see periodically different types of journal entries, but I can very easily create a journal entry report for you every month. It's not a problem.
Well, thank you. John?
So question, Dawn, a couple of times you said something about you have a limit about how much our reports can be off.
Yes.
Yeah.
By off, you mean positive or negative?
The
Yep.
difference of, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that, say, I don't know how there'd be something on there that, it was, instead of a negative figure, it was a positive figure, that would still
Mhm.
be out of the,
Mhm.
what the state auditor would
Yeah, 'cause
expect.
they have to sync.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have to sync.
My
Positive or negative.
my reports, my entries in QuickBooks have to match the treasurer's report. So what I provide the state when I give them the annual report, I provide them with a profit and loss detail that shows every single entry, even the journal entries. Those have to match the annual report because I request in April, I say I would like an annual report for the fiscal period of 2024. And in essence, all those pages have to match my QuickBooks details.
Okay, so that's a state auditor requirement that happens when they're reviewed every year.
Yeah.
I
And
understand.
that's why my records have to match the counties. I can't be off.
Thank
I'd
you.
rather not be off at all, but every once in a while there is something
Well-
funky that happens. Like we had two guys not cash their paychecks. They, and we couldn't get a hold of them, so we had to void them. The county had to, that kind of stuff. But if that's 2
Yeah.
years later, so I'd rather have wiggle room for something like that than a journal entry that I missed because I did the report too early.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any,
So,
John, go ahead.
so again, it seemed like we did get a lot of, additional reporting this time. What is the broadband profit and loss report? What is that really telling us?
That is telling you how much money, income we have received so far. So every time we have these expenses, periodically I submit application reimbursement report called the A19 to the state and one to the PWB federal grant portion. And so far, we have collected everything but $110,000, but that $110,000 has been submitted and we're just waiting for payment.
Okay, I've got a question because there were so many different reports. I got one you sent called Grant Income Received May 1, 2017 through March 25, 2025. And
That
it's
is all of Chris's work.
All the money
Oh.
we've gotten through grants since it
That is
started.
how much money that Chris has managed to collect in grants since his inauguration.
Well, when I looked at it and pulled out everything that had to do with broadband, the total was nowhere near what you just said from this other balance sheet.
It only goes through, no, it is through 2025.
Yeah, there is different
Oh,
broadband. Yeah, there is different broadbands in here.
There's
So there was,
multiple
yeah,
broadband.
I
There-
have three different ones highlighted. We have PWB federal grant, broadband curb and
Mhm.
broadband 42, and I had them up and I only got 353,000 plus. So I mean, the total is given and I added
Okay.
the three totals.
so I'm
I'm
gonna,
not sure if this is useful.
Well, let's see what Don says.
Well, here,
Yeah.
yeah, let me show you here real quick. Okay,
Yeah.
so I wonder, I don't know how to reshare. Is there a way to
What I would do is I'd go ahead and close out your current sheet. And then open up the sheet on your desktop that you want to share and then go
Those two
back and share.
numbers are right there.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Okay,
had to figure that out myself too.
there's the income part of it.
Okay,
Numbers do
so
match. And I don't know about the
There you
rest.
go.
Okay,
So let's go.
You could increase the font on that too, Don, that'd be great. Thank you.
okay, so this equals these two highlighted items are the current federal broadband project. And these two add, yeah, this matches what the P&L that I gave you.
But what about the next one, the broadband curb grant?
Yeah,
Doesn't show up on the broadband profit or loss.
That was a 2020 project that we
was a study we
received
did.
grant funds. Yeah.
yeah,
And the same thing with the broadband too. That was additional. So there was
So the
there was about
expenses for that are also not that, so that broadband curb grant from 2020 and the study that we did and must have paid for in 2020 or 2021, that's not included in your broadband.
So you actually have 4 broadband grants. You have
Yeah.
a study we got for 50 grand. Then we had $100,000 we did for phase 2.
Which,
Mhm.
where's that?
that is
Isn't the
down
list of all
here. Sorry, right here.
There you go. There's
Oh, broadband number 2.
Yeah.
That's grant number 2. We got 4
Okay.
grants.
So that one's down there.
Yeah, that one we fully, the first 2 grants, the curb for 50, which is less than 50, we had a match, which we didn't match, we got part of the match.
Yeah.
Then we got one for 100,000 to get this project going, and then we got the 4.7
And-
million, we got the 2 other grants from
Mhm.
Yeah.
from PWB and the state broadband office. We have 4 grants total.
But then there's a separate broadband report that you sent out, but it only has 2 of those, 4. And
Yeah, because we're right now, so those other broadbands closed, they're
Closed.
closed, they're in full, they're projects that are done, completed. I
Mhm.
only submitted a P&L on the current grant program. And the reason why there's 2 different incomes is because we managed with this federal broadband grant, we got a matching grant of 1 million something from the state. So to me, they are one and the same because PWB is 75% of the cost of what we're doing with the broadband project.
It's the allocation amount of 7%.
And the WSBO is 25% of what we're doing. So all these expenses have to be split.
Yeah.
They have to be,
But
they have
I
to be,
guess my understanding of when you sent that broadband report, broadband profit and loss, was that was from the beginning of the broadband project. It's one project, right? Are we calling it a project? I thought that was gonna include all of the
grant really
expenses.
wasn't broadband.
Yeah, it's not, it's
was
different,
a
it's different
feasibility
projects,
study.
actually.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that was like 3 projects.
Yeah,
So this
it was a
only
study.
includes after the first 2 grants.
yeah, so you have 2 snapshots, I think this is where you got confused, we have 2 snapshots. She wanted to run you a report that said, since 2017, here's how much money we got in grants.
In all the grants.
In all the grants. And then the second snapshot is, here is the broadband received on active grants.
So
Because
like
we've already gone through
2023 forward.
Yeah, or
Okay.
maybe even 22 for, but yeah, you're right, you're exactly right.
It's the dating of the reports that's making it very confusing because they overlap,
Yeah.
but we're not aware of
Well,
that.
they're 2 different looks. They're 2 different
Yeah.
looks. They really don't have anything to do with each
Yeah,
other.
but when you say it's May 1, 2017 through March 25, well, whatever the date says, you assume that includes all the
It
dates
does.
between
This
them.
one.
It does.
It
The
does,
broadband
it does.
project Doesn't have that
Doesn't
data.
have-
The broadband one does not. It's just, here are the active grants and, yeah, Mark's got it.
Her grant was
Two thousand twenty.
more about looking at the current infrastructure in Island County to access the internet.
Yeah,
Okay,
she was
so,
looking for opportunities.
so this
Yeah.
one that covers through March 25 is just a little over $400,000. Which is a lot
To
less.
The 20.
okay, so
I'm
the
looking-
grant
Highlight
income,
Highlight the 4 broadband.
Just forget about,
items.
yeah, forget about this, because all that report
Yeah,
was a brag sheet for Chris to say, look, Chris collected $2
I didn't know
million.
she produced this, first time I've seen it.
Yeah,
But
all
yeah,
this
we
is
wanna
is
see this too.
yeah, all this is
we're
a
going
break.
over it Now, in this meeting, we don't wanna forget about it.
yeah.
It's
This is-
basically, we've taken in $2 million in grant funds since 2017. That's what this is meant to.
Are they all for broadband?
No,
No, I'm
So,
looking at them.
okay, look down the left.
All right,
There's,
I see 55,904, 210, 565, 42, 917, and another 100.
look to your left, there's.
Okay.
So
EB's,
there's 4 of them.
There's EB's reserve, there's miscellaneous
So it's-
grants, there's rural economic
There's four.
development grants.
What do you, what's your question, Marianne?
Well, my
all these-
question is, why are we saying there's no,
All these grants here, all different grants, all from the rural .09 funds. that
oh,
we
I
got.
understand the
Let her-
difference.
let
My problem is that the total for items labeled broadband
Mhm.
on this piece of paper
Mhm.
is only about $400,000.
Mhm.
But the report for I know that the broadband grant was much larger than that.
Yeah,
And
we haven't
that's
spent
my confusion.
it. We haven't spent it all. This only shows how much we've actually received. When we spend, those grants are authorized to spend more than that, some of them, but we
Well,
haven't done the work yet.
I understand,
Ridley hasn't done the work.
but this says income received. It doesn't say anything about expenses.
Well,
Yeah,
we
that
can
will-
only submit to the grantor after we spend the money, and then they pay us back. for
Okay,
what we
this
spent.
is grant income received.
They don't give us all the money up front.
Okay,
And it sits in our account.
it's.
Yeah, this is just a brag sheet for Chris.
Okay.
This is all that
There's a
is.
difference between having the money in your hand and having
And
the
being
money
awarded.
listed, awarded.
Yeah.
That's my
That might be a
my
better term.
issue.
Grant income.
There you go. You
Well,
finally
no,
took
it's
it.
more than,
No, it's
that's the
received.
grant income that we actually received.
Yeah.
We were awarded another several
A
million
huge
dollars
amount.
Right.
that we haven't
Okay,
spent or
this is,
received yet.
this is not.
We could do a
awarded.
separate snapshot.
This is not the awarded amounts that we are
No.
looking forward to
No.
receiving.
Yeah,
This is.
This is just received.
and the other broadband, this one, the broadband report, is what we've only actually spent
Got it.
and.
And
received.
so the
And we
fact,
haven't been reimbursed for this last 110,000 yet.
okay,
Perfect.
it's labeling is tricky.
Yeah, and then on top of
Labeling
that,
is very tricky because it's not clear.
it
from
is
that.
kind of confusing, yeah, and then on top of that, the dates are a little different, so there were earlier pathfinding studies for the broadband
Because it's-
project that we already spent the money and got paid back for, that's not included in this, this is. only the
Thank you
current.
all so much. It's a challenge.
Okay, I know,
And you've helped
we
me.
walked through it.
And it's
Thank
been a
you.
long process getting from that curve study to a IRU. Right.
And we're not done yet.
Well, I've got another.
What are they doing right up here? on
That's Whitneytown, I think,
That
they have
looks like a broadband cable,
it's Whitneytown Fiber, I think,
right?
they're
Right,
going around
Chris?
the island too.
Is that big orange spool in that fiber? Is out here on Juan Road?
No, that's Libby Telecom's project.
That's what I mean, but it's something to do with broadband
Yes, that's their line running all the way up the island.
to Port Roberts
Mhm.
eventually.
Yep. And then eventually to submarine.
Okay, I've got another question. On the IDV profit and loss. Item under expense, first item, says right there, employee compensation, project manager, $138,896. Please expand on that.
Where do you see that?
Right
Since
there in
the,
the middle.
yeah,
Okay.
so that is the, we got the project manager in order to help with the capital projects and the IDD,
Who was
funding.
the project manager?
Mary,
This is an individual or a
So-
company?
So this is the total that we billed to the IDD for staff time for project management over the years. This is not 1 year salary.
yeah,
And that's Mary. Mary is the project manager.
yeah. And that number is still in the works too, because I have an inquiry to the state as to, because I want to make sure that I have what they want, as far as all the backup, because I'm going to include her portion, a percentage of her benefits as well, not just
Okay,
her salary. So,
I was not clear on the fact that this is a historic record and not an annual record.
Yeah, and when did this start? The IDD, when's the beginning timeline on this report?
let's see, I can show you. IDD
Physical
profit
year
and loss.
21 at the top is the grant.
Yeah,
win.
there are expenses that were recovered from as far back as, let's see here. Let me just do this report as a year so that we can, I'm pretty sure it's 2022 because that's when the IDD started.
So this is 3.5 years of expenses.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be good to note that at the top where you get the title?
I mean, I'm sure this is just how QuickBooks reported it, but yeah, that would have been.
It would have been
that
very
would have
helpful.
been handy to see the beginning and
Okay,
end
but-
dates.
So it will
Yeah.
say, can you tell me when you think it started and I'll write it down?
We started the IDD capital, we started recording and tracking in 2022. But there was one IDD project that was actually started in, let's see, what year was it? 2008, 19.
The cap
So
and
there
pile-
was,
pile and caps 2019.
Yeah, oh, there it is. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
so it's actually 6
welcome.
years expenses. in there.
So Don, the
Yeah.
learning moment here, did you give us too much information?
I think so.
You're gonna live to regret it.
I try to comply to, we would like more details, but sometimes
No,
more details can be more confusing too, so.
All jokes aside, I do appreciate all these reports. This is really insightful to see things in a different way. It's kind of, all that information is already, we can dig through and add it up ourselves, but it's nice to see it added up in a different way.
Yes.
Well, it's like going back in time and seeing how some of this bills and bills. and
Yeah.
Yeah, very useful.
Yeah.
These multi-year
Well, it is,
processes.
it also helps me because when I break down these particular items, like the broadband P&L, for instance, I actually have a spreadsheet with all the detailed expenses. And next to each one is a date of when we submitted reimbursement for them.
Wow.
And that is going to be my backup when we get audited. So that's another reason why I do these. So there's a lot more that I actually do, but it's super detailed and it's for the benefit of an audit because we're going to have financial audits. So
Thank you.
you're
So,
welcome.
I'd like to call attention on the reports because,
Yeah,
the Port of Coupeville current month to date profit and loss. It appears that February 25 Beaver Tails is paid up, right?
Through February
Yeah,
Yeah, their
mid-March.
monthly rent has been cut up
yeah,
and March they paid.
in March, that is correct.
yeah. And then if you look at the profit and loss, the previous year comparison, they're running at 100% of what was projected for revenue for rent.
Is that all now for the financial
Reports,
reports?
I think for me,
Yeah, I don't. think I
Okay,
have-
we'll move on then to number 8, new business. 8.1, discussion port staff.
I do have one thing I just wanted to let you guys know.
Sure.
I won't be at April 9th's meeting. The vouchers, everything will, be the same as far as the vouchers being submitted and so forth. But I won't physically be at the meeting because I will be at a pre-opt for my partner who's having a double knee or whatever you call it. He's already had the knee replaced, but he has to have a do-over. So it's kind of a
Oh,
scary thing. So I'm going to be with him that day.
no.
good deal. Hope everything turns out
Thank you.
well.
Thank you, Don.
Okay, discussion, port staff.
Yeah, so as you guys, hope you got my email that Murray is going to be the new executive director for, PRI. So right up the road there, yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good
Yeah.
opportunity for you.
Yeah,
Do you know that's the only other special review district
yeah,
in the island?
in Island County, I think, right? Or is
Yeah.
it just the island?
Well, not in County.
Yeah, Island County.
Yeah, Murray exclusively works for special review districts. That's the only place she's in.
Yeah.
Apparently so. So she'll be with us next week and that's it. So right now, I just want to kind of go over what the plans are with current port staff, and maybe how we kind of move down the road. In one executive session, we had discussed, the future, right, with my retirement and so forth, and what that looks like and how we're going to get there. And it kind of presented some ideas to you guys and thoughts. And I think what this does is, with Murray moving on, it may, allow us to speed that up a little bit and start looking at that now, and so what's happening right now is Mary, who's still managing our projects. The wharf building is coming to a close. That's actually, it is closed in a sense. We have to paint. But there are others. We got the pond, which is a mess dealing with Island County on this one. They just don't seem to want to push this permit forward. And requiring they surprise us with things. Oh, we need this, we need that. But Mary's pushing that forward. We're getting ready to start the replacement of both the roofs on Barn A and Barn B, probably in April, right? April 3rd. That's next week. Those will be all done when I get back.
What's the road? The
The
road?
road, we're waiting for it to dry a little bit, Mark.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
just
yeah.
way too wet. Yeah, but they're waiting, but that'll be something that, that's just a matter of them coming in and doing it, right? But some of these projects Mary has to manage. And of course, I'm pretty much handling the dock project. That's hit a snag with NIPS again. It's always NIPS, National Marine Fisheries Service. So we still have projects that are going on, but those are starting to roll to a close. I'll manage the broadband project. Those are starting to, our big projects are rolling to a close. We have these other projects in the works. And so looking, if we were looking 4 to 6 months down the road, we would probably be past the pond project, we hope. Zipley would be well on their way, and I'm just kind of managing the process and the vouchers. The reporting, which very helps out with reporting, and so forth. So what we decided to do was to combine the position with Mary and with Murray. The administrative stuff that Murray does is pretty simple. You have to stay on top of it. It's important, deposits and things like that. But it's really the event management, which is the big one there. I'm still kind of doing property management. That was something that Murray was going to take on, but we never got there. And so we're just going to divide up those responsibilities and at least right now, hold on. And then Mary and I need to sit down and talk and discuss where she wants to be in the future and so forth. But I want to kind of put that out there that I'm not going to backfill Murray's position. Susan has graciously offered to come in if Mary is feeling overwhelmed or I'm feeling overwhelmed and we need a little bit of help. Susan, who was our public relations and social media person, could easily come in and help answer phones and help with that administrative stuff.
Where does she live?
Susan?
Yeah.
Here on the island, here on the south end, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we have things covered.
What about future events?
That's Mary right now. Mary's kind of learning that. That's the big part of what Mary built in her position was the events,
Okay.
right? It's not just it's not just working contracts for people who want to rent the barn. That's admin. That's follow up. Here's a list. You stay on a rail and you go down the rail and you make sure all the boxes are checked. But what Murray built was court sponsored events. We're the ones putting on the events. We're getting vendors. We're building schematics. We are taking payments. We're signing contracts. So, and that's what Mary is really diving into and taking over. You know, that's a big part of it, you know, which Mary built. So, we're gonna be fine, not worried about it. But I want you guys to know that's the plan right now, okay? So, again, I need to sit down with Mary and work out some details and where is this gonna go and how is this gonna morph and what does this look like as a job description? What does it look like as a pay scale? And things like that, which we'll work out. But right now, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna see if the two of us can toe the line with maybe Susan as a lifeline in case we get a little too buried, because we have a big 120th anniversary party we're putting on July 19th. That is not a simple little gig. That's a
No,
big gig
big
we're putting
thing.
on. So, you know, but we also have, Danielle helping with that and Susan helping with that. So we got a lot going on still. This is not a sleepy port. So
It sounds like the way you're kind of describing it is you're gonna be fine for now, you're hoping to, and this is gonna be kind of sounds a little temporary, and you have some. So I guess my question is your future plan or concept, is that in line, when that change would happen, would be in line with your retirement? Or are you thinking in the fall, we might wanna hire someone?
yeah, no, you're right on the money.
Or you're retired?
So the plan was in my head, which we haven't discussed yet, was yes, this falls in line with what was with my concept of the future. It just happens quicker, a lot quicker, right? There's different positions there. You got to look at where we're gonna go 3 to 5 years past 2026, right? So right now, not backfilling Murray's position. Mary and I are really running the port from this side of things. Danielle can run the more from her side. This allows us, Martin, to take a look at that future executive director position much earlier and get that process involved now in early fall.
Like the hiring process for that?
Or the process of searching out a new executive director, whether
Okay.
right.
Because we have had that discussion about have an assistant ED
Right,
learning.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of things to figure out.
yeah,
So, maybe what we are hearing is that, by waiting a while, maybe Murray replacement be that type of person.
Murray's replacement?
Yeah.
Or would really
Let's
be replaced.
let's be careful about talking about replacements.
Well, we're not backfilling Murray's position.
It would be, you're talking kind of about re-shifting the whole org chart and maybe writing some new positions
That is correct.
that
Right.
don't currently exist, and
Yeah, I bet.
Murray's
You're gonna have to reinvent
responsibilities are gonna be shifted around to other
Mary's.
positions.
I've been thinking
Possibly.
about a reshift of the positions and what they include, and that they wouldn't necessarily stay the same as what they are, that the work of the port would be reorganized into
Job
different
descriptions would
sections.
change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Job description change.
Yeah.
because the jobs will change
Yeah.
as the facilities are rehabbed, and a lot of other things will change.
Yeah.
And one thought that I like to lay on us is, we have projects, coming to completion or, you can kind of see, the groundwork is in place. So things, and I guess what I'm getting ready to, bring up is the filter that I use does a project just maintain revenues, or does it have the potential to be new revenues?
And we'll talk about that when time comes.
Well, now's the time,
I think
because,
that's kind of the time.
because now this is time to say, dock needs replacing. Is that a more high priority project than something else? Because replacing the dock just doesn't change our revenues.
So you're suggesting,
That has
Isn't
a, let me finish.
okay, sure,
So what I'm suggesting is our responsibility operates at the 30,000 foot level. And so what we need to be doing is giving direction to Chris to say, well, we've come to an agreement or not, but through discussion, we say, we think this is something that staff should be working on more so than this. And then, next in line after that is blah, blah, and after that, blah, blah.
you seem to always think that there's plenty of money. And to my understanding, the dock is part of the IDD, is that correct?
Yeah, we got money for the dock.
So
the idea that we're-
that money is not available for the new ideas that you're considering. Because it's allocated and directed and must be used only on IDD projects.
Answer,
Sure,
okay. Chris sent us an email recently about somebody moving forward on a housing project. Remember that email?
yes, I
So,
do, but I don't see where that list was included in any of the IDD projects that qualified for the taxes the people are paying for IDD.
right, it's not. But we used to have a revenue source off the caretaker cottage.
Mhm.
So when we say we're at 100% capacity of Greenland Farm, we're not.
Oh, I see
So-
that point, but you started with the dock and now you've switched to the property.
I thought we were gonna talk about staff, that's why I was encouraging you to continue. I thought it was in the context
Yeah, we're
of
getting off.
directing what to Chris of like what kind of staffing, what kind of positions, what kind of responsibilities we think is.
That's why I think that John is a little premature in his suggestion. That's all. I'm not saying it's not a good
Like
suggestion.
prioritizing projects, I think that's probably not.
He's not talking about prioritizing, he's thinking about adding.
Okay, well, adding projects also not time really for that on the agenda, I don't think,
No,
but yeah, in terms
Well,
of
yeah,
staff.
staff and
executive
projects
director.
are kind of tied together.
Mhm.
Yeah, if we want more project management, we might need to staff.
Our
for that.
property management,
Property
And-
management, yeah,
job description change.
yeah, so what are your thoughts? on that?
I think you need to organize what you already have before you think about adding to it or
Well,
changing it. You have to look at what you've got
Yeah,
and analyze that and move on from a complete analyze of what you've got and the money you have to spend on it. And then once you know where you are, you know which direction to go. But you have to know where you are first,
So,
not bits and pieces.
go back to staff, we're gonna suggest from the town 30,000 foot. level.
oh, you're asking what we should suggest? Yeah, I think, well, I don't think we really let Chris finish his
Mm,
thought, because he might have some suggestions.
Yeah,
He
thank you,
probably
Martin.
knows a little more about
Thank
it
you.
than,
yeah,
and then we can shoot him down if we want.
that's true. That is all true. That's all very true. So, when Marie came in and gave her notice, she very insightfully made a suggestion to me, which fell right in line with what we were looking, what I was looking to do as far as a restructure in the far future. That was combine those two positions. That was, Mary came to me before I came to her. Cause she saw, she saw the potential, she saw where things are going. That's why she was hired as an executive director, right? So, right now, what I would like the board to understand is that this is new. And we're still in the middle of a lot of stuff, let alone running the port. Dealing with these tenants, dealing with all this stuff, it's a lot. So let Mary and I, get through this learning curve for the next week for Mary. Let me absorb the situation, analyze the situation, look at my timeline, look at my thoughts for the future, and then we will put together either the next meeting or the meeting after, we'll put together where we think we should be in 3, 5, 6 months. And then you guys could absorb that, think about it. I would not like, I would like to see the projects that are lined up on the capital project list continued. I don't think that's gonna be a problem. Just as a side note, just because we have a budget for capital projects and we have capital projects listed in the comprehensive scheme of harbor improvements does not mean you cannot add one. So just keep that in mind in your head, because that can be confusing. We can, if we wanted to add tiny homes, we could do that. No problem.
We can legally
Of course.
legally do that, but we gotta find the money.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let us, let Mary and I absorb this and come up with a plan. We're sorry to miss Murray. But I agree with Murray. There's an opportunity here, and let Mary and I explore this a little bit more before you guys hand down a 30,000-foot directive. I'd appreciate that.
And when you say find the money for it, we got a report about how well we've done at finding money.
Yeah, finding money, I think, is gonna be a priority for staffing a future executive director.
Job description.
Or maybe we wanna have a position for grant writing specifically. That's not the executive.
There's a lot of
You know,
options.
There's a lot of options. Mary has also written grants and.
Or, yeah,
So,
I
It
mean,
doesn't have to be a standalone position.
each
Right.
of us, I just blue sky thought, started making a list of things, of ways that the port could work in the future. And I think
mhm,
we all have those ideas, and I think when we have the opportunity to discuss them and bounce them off each other, we'll be able to come up with some that we agree on.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
the choices are infinite.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
are infinite, and some have been suggested in the past, and people give me suggestions, and you both think of things and where the emphasis is gonna be. It's a varied port, and we can't do it all at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I appreciate for Chris to be communicative over email to the individual board members while your thoughts are like
Sure.
evolving. So that when we come to meetings, we're kind of, I mean, I'm not saying you haven't been doing this, but like as you're evolving these ideas and maybe coming up with new concepts and seeing how this new org chart is working, yeah, keep us in the loop so it's not, so we don't have to
sure.
react on.
Yeah, you need time to
fly
digest it. Yeah, no, I totally
during
understand.
meetings. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course I didn't say anything because this is very new.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
great,
yeah, so, and then also something to keep in mind is that Dawn and I start thinking budget in August
Mhm.
For next year.
for next year. So this really does have to kind of roll on a timeline this year,
Mhm.
right? Even though when we bring on, when we go through the process of looking to hire an executive director, the budgeting part of it does have to start to click in.
Mhm.
Start thinking in August, we start assembling numbers in September based off August actuals. Then we go into October with projections,
Mhm.
taking in Q4 of 2025 actual, or 2024 actual. So there's a big process that starts kicking and rolling in August and September, and then we're full blast in October. So this process, this port structure, this next phase to carry the port for the next 3 years or so is gonna have to roll this year. So
And
don't
this
worry about the
summer,
timing.
Before August, so that when we go into the budget conversations, we have an idea about.
Yeah.
That's what I
our
mean.
staffing's
Yeah.
gonna be.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
isn't it also true that the nature of the executive position has to be decided, whether it is still such a hands-on position or whether it becomes a more supervisory position for some of the tasks that Chris has been able to do himself? I mean, there's a lot of
We have to decide.
Yeah.
things to decide because
It's a good.
Chris has been a one-man band.
Well,
Two women. one
yeah, so
Well,
that's a really good point. though.
he's got a good drummer.
No, but you bring up a really good point. See, it's been hands-on since day one. When the admin position has always been an important supportive role to keep that admin part going. Murray grew that to include events, which wasn't involved in. So there's no supervisory for me really there, other than are we making sure we're doing the deposits and is the port compliant, so and so. The first time I ever felt I was in a supervisory role was when Mary got her feet under her and started taking projects and I wasn't having to babysit them. So that's the first time in my career at the port that I ever felt like, wow, I'm actually kind of being an ED a little bit. You know, I'm watching Mary do her thing, I'm questioning, I'm asking, I'm there for support when she needs it. So that's the first time I've ever had that feeling.
And that could continue depending on how we.
On how we structure it.
The structure.
Yeah, if the port is gonna continue to do the big things that it's been doing, there's no way you're gonna be able to bring in an ED just in a supervisory concept. I would love to be in that role, you know, but you can't. There's
And-
too many learning curves involved.
And-
Every week is learning.
And you started that with another thing that needs to be decided. If the port is going to continue to do big things in the next 3 years, is not I do not assume that. I
And
think,
that impacts my decision to, you know, file for another 4 years.
well, it depends on so many things we cannot control.
In terms of staff, are you anticipating, since you're not backfilling that, or not gonna hire for that? Administrative assistant role?
Not a full-time position anyways, right now.
Are you thinking of shuffling any other money, or is that money just gonna not get spent?
No, I'm
How do you
gonna
see
sit-
the impact of that.
I'm gonna sit down with Mary, we're gonna come up with a plan to share with you guys. Yeah, the budget is one thing, right? I mean, and there's all
It's
the,
not really the budget, I guess, it's just the remainder of this year's spending. We already have
Right.
our budget, but yeah.
right, and then those are all loaded costs, so your labor is not just your labor, you got loaded costs with labor, benefits equal a huge part of it.
Yes, huge.
So, yeah, we'll sit down, that's why Mary and I need to sit down and kind of put a
Understood.
plan together, and yeah.
Okay.
This is gonna be a temporary, what Mary and I are gonna do is we're gonna put something together that's a temporary structure that is hopefully gonna seamlessly flow us into a new staff structure that can be well educated to take on the next 3 years, where that is raising the wharf building, where that is a dredging project, you know, don't know. Right? But it's gotta move into a different phase from both the admin, from both the management, and from both the facilities maintenance.
Yes.
It's gotta move, or we're gonna be too thick. Right now, we've never had such a powerful team in the history of full-time, you know, just working massive projects. Well, that's gonna shift, so we'll shift with it.
The port is finally becoming what it always could have been, but it's time for it now.
Well, it's been awesome for the last 3 years, and it took, you know, it took a lot of work to get it there too. Okay, so, but anyways, so that's kind of where we're at. I want to give you guys an idea of where we're at now, but we'll work on and get back to you.
And we're all.
We'll keep you informed too.
we are workers here, and that will make a difference.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready to move on? We
Miss
are
anything?
canceling the
Lori, did I miss anything on that? Okay.
We have canceled the executive session number 9. We're moving on to commissioner discussion number 10, and I already revealed my topic. Does anyone else? Should I go first or?
Lightning rods. take it
Right,
away.
okay. I with the weather forecast that includes lightning, it made me remember my youth in the Midwest where barns had lightning rods.
Hmm.
And I'm wondering, as climate changes, we've seen the effect of that in the last year or so, that we do get more storms and they're different than we had before. I'm wondering if lightning rods on our buildings, and especially the wharf, which is out over the water, deserves consideration, or do we just say, well, nobody else does it, so we don't have to?
Do we have one?
Even
Our
if
buildings are grounded. They're all grounded. So they all have a ground wire coming
Okay,
into them. As far as a lightning rod to attract it, no. But
Okay.
they've all been.
so that system's been done and taken care of in a new way.
According to code, but we don't have lightning rods.
I don't know
Okay.
if that's, I'm an electrical engineer, and honestly, I don't know if that is necessary or not. But I'm sure there's somebody that, I mean, I don't know if we could reach out to, if
Well,
that's something that we should be doing, because this is especially a tall building, or, I don't know.
I know that our buildings here are grounded. There's big giant,
What
but
about
as
the
far
wharf?
as the wharf, I'm not sure.
I mean, it must be grounded, it's to code, there's.
Yeah,
power
I just
going
don't
down the
know
wharf,
how the
have it
wharf
running
is,
with it.
it's over water, right?
Yeah,
That's a
But-
disbursement, but I don't understand. So I don't know about the wharf. I don't see ground wires at the wharf, but yeah, you walk around here, there's ground wires, all electrical, it's all grounded. But as far as putting up a lightning rod that also grounds,
Well, I'm just looking at hazard,
yeah, sure.
hazard protection. That's
So-
all I'm not,
so-
it's a question.
Yeah, so
there's
on
someone
that,
we could call. And get a consultation on that or something, or is that even a?
I don't know. If you're an electrical engineer.
Well,
you
I'm not
say-
that kind of electrical engineer.
And you
Well, you're like,
say we don't need
golfers, the
it.
number one thing that kills golfers is lightning strikes, right?
well, they're carrying around a lightning rod.
On Whidbey though,
See,
Anyway,
the thing is, it's the climate changes and
Maybe we
I've
can-
lived here 40 years and there's never been a forecast like I just
So
got for
tornado.
tonight.
Yeah.
Well, there have been some.
Okay, I'll look into it.
yeah, just check it out.
I have an engineer that I can tap anytime. It's called Google.
Oh,
Yeah.
there-
Give him a call.
And there's the other issue. We have, it's kind of tied in with the question about where we stand with the tenant who has been recalcitrant in following the requirements of the lease. We have in our possession a fire code report that indicates that the hood is not connected to the alarm system, and it doesn't meet certain other circumstances. The question has occurred to me that if something unfortunate should occur, and the port is aware of the deficiencies and has done nothing, is the port liable for any actions or any danger, any difficulty? Or does the port have a responsibility to somehow disable that until it's fixed?
I think that's a question for our insurance company, and I also wouldn't say that we've done nothing. We're taking quite a bit of
Yeah, I mean,
action
it's-
towards getting that remedy, but
But
it's the question for our insurance person.
Yeah.
None of us know the answer to that question.
no, I don't know. It just bothers me that it's there and it didn't pass the code. There was also confusion in my mind about the town of Coupeville's responsibility and the port's responsibility when it comes to fire inspections.
fire department, are they responsible, the fire department? Maybe.
Well,
I
I
think,
don't
yeah,
know.
Central Whitby Tire was also one of the
Mhm.
people that was
Later.
supposed to inspect it or something.
Right.
I don't know where we stand. I'm only looking at our possible liability.
So we enforce the lease. And in that lease says that they must be in compliance with federal, state, and local laws.
And they're not.
If they're, that's correct. The hood, they're not. And right now, the insurance, they're kind of, they're dripping information to us. But Tim is on top of it.
Yeah,
So that's our responsibility, is to have them be in compliance with the lease. How we react to them not being in the compliance of the lease is taking them to court and having them evicted.
but.
So right now, they're on a plan to be in compliance.
But you never, it's never, everything's fine until it isn't.
But keep in mind, it's not our hood to disconnect. They're arguing that it's our hood. It is. I'd be more than happy to go in and remove the hood and remove the exhaust system,
But
but it's not.
our war and it's
It
a
is.
hazard.
It is a hazard. There's no doubt about it.
And maybe the insurance can clear this.
I think we should just call the insurance. I don't think we should debate
No.
things here, which
Yeah.
might come up later.
Yeah, let's be fun.
We have-
We couldn't air all these things
Our wharf
right
building,
now.
our wharf building is covered. If it were to burn down, no matter what fault it is, it's covered.
And the liability.
And then the liability would be picked up on their end for the $1 million, right? That's what was being challenged before, was the liability on
Yeah.
The
it.
porcelain being on that policy.
And the amount,
Well, you
the
can,
amount of liability, right?
when
So,
you ask about the hazard, find out not only about the hazard to the building, but the liability issue.
yeah, well, again, I know for a fact the wharf is covered for fire, or if a tsunami hits it or
Yeah.
an earthquake,
But
it's
that's-
covered.
But that's the facility, not the people who claim injury.
It's covered for both.
No, it's
covered
covered
for
for both. See,
Okay,
we're in a pool, Marianne.
okay, it's a.
So we don't have individual, like, you don't have your car insurance, right? This is insured for this, or this is,
Got it.
we're in a pool,
Okay.
25 million. So if that wharf, something were to happen and there was injuries, it's all coming out of the
Okay,
pool.
call endorse and then I'll be happy.
I already know that to be fact, because I manage the
Yeah,
insurance.
but you,
And we've had other issues of, people with splinters in their feet and, all the.
Yeah,
okay.
they just sell that just to sell it, but yeah, we're not
It's
liable.
not
for
a
that.
new rodeo for us.
Not a new rodeo.
Okay, so the reason that we are not empowered to do anything about mitigating the hazard at this point in time is because the hood does not belong to the pool.
No, we're mitigating it because they have to be in compliance with local law.
Well, I'm talking about physical mitigation rather than legal mitigation.
It's their hood, so we don't have a right to go in and remove the hood.
Okay. Check with
Yeah.
insurers.
Okay.
So I've got some discussion topics.
Sure,
Okay, so are you cool about the lightning rod?
yeah, sure.
Okay. So when you were talking about some of the projects, about how that was affecting staffing and whatnot. You didn't mention the caretaker cottage, but I thought that was already there were some in works about, somebody to remove the caretaker cottage.
Well, no, there was a potential person that wanted to take that home. And we don't know where that is right now. We don't know if they're gonna take it or if they took another home, but there was someone that was potentially interested. So in the meantime, Shelley and our facilities maintenance team went in and gave that house a makeover. So it looks beautiful in the inside. So we were gonna retake pictures, have Nichols Brothers come back and retake their pictures. And our goal right now is to get that home moved onto someone else's property and at no expense to the port. That's the goal. Here's the home, pick it up, move it somewhere else and keep using it. That's the goal of the port. Then the board can sit down and decide what they're going to do with that piece of.
Yeah,
And that's happened before here, that we had a building go down to Bayview, right? That, they removed a building from this property.
The old Sears building.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this building here was moved here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but right now, we're just trying, right now and then we're also going to be renting a piece of equipment to take down the old shed and all that fallen infrastructure that's on the side of the caretaker cottage to start cleaning that area up. So when that house does get either transferred or moved to another property, or we take it down in a recycle program, then we'll have the property cleaned up and you guys can decide.
there could be a lot of possibilities for that piece of property.
Yeah.
Connected with agriculture in some way even.
Or housing, and or housing,
Yeah.
and or commercial kitchen,
And potentially revenue producing.
and revenue, a
Um,
little bit for everybody.
So just wanted to ask, cause I just had to do my F1 report for the PDC. Did everybody else get their?
Yes,
Got my email, I haven't done it yet, have a couple weeks left.
done.
Have you ever done one before?
Yeah, had to do one.
I mean, you signed up, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that bad. So. Well, let me review one, you one, and Chris one. So. Let's see, I guess I'm a kind of like get a little bit of a prepper mentality. Every time the power goes out, or I go into Safeway and I reach for something on the shelf and the shelves are empty. And I go, so I guess my prepper side of me, is kind of like, how do we become more self-sufficient on Whidbey Island? Because we have very limited, entrance and egress from this island. The Deception Pass, well, actually the twin bridges, Swinomish, as they go down, or the ferry staffing gets screwed up again with another pandemic. We're pretty isolated, and that's good news, bad news. We're safe from the zombies, but at the same time, in terms of being self-sufficient, could Greenbank Farm be somewhat of a model of self-sufficiency? Because we're already partly there. With the solar. And now we're doing the EV charging. Food wise, we've got the pea patches, growing, gardening. One Will Farm, so we've got somebody working on food.
Lissetti Farm. Lissetti Farm is growing food and selling in the Seattle farmers markets and
For beans.
beans and stuff,
Yeah.
and then, I'm just gonna mention some of our own other farmers are growing veterans, is also growing food. They have the big greenhouse.
It seems the food growing on Whidbey Island has generally become more popular.
It's,
And the
It's growing.
chickens and the animals, it just has sort of naturally grown over the years.
yeah,
It hasn't been attacked as an emergency, it's just a natural.
yeah, but there's an aspect of the agricultural and food system of resilience, emergency resilience.
Yeah.
People at the county do, think about that if the bridges go down, or even if there's some disaster and, how much of our own food can we produce in a short amount of time?
Right, and.
Yeah.
So it's just, I put this together just like, almost like a concept deal about, community model for island self-sufficiency as a filter about some of our decision-making and recommendations, for the future, housing, caretake cottage. We have that 5,000 square foot space for a building. Could that be a co-housing, project? Don't worry about the money. The money's out there. We have somebody that gets money. We don't have to have it in a wallet this moment. We just have to have somebody that get it out of somebody else's wallet.
Concept, we have to do some work to figure it out.
Well,
Yeah.
John, I'm gonna throw in right here, you look at grants as opportunities, and I look at grants as obligations.
It's a positive influence on the process. It's this other process, so I'm not gonna change your way.
Yeah, not change yours either, but I think we can work together.
So, but the thing is, for the long haul, I'm gonna be seeing the Port of Coupeville be progressive about taking on new projects, not just repairing rotten wood. And replacing a,
Yeah, we're coming to an end of that. We're ending that.
Right, and with the right staff, we can do it.
okay, so that's all mine for the
Thank you for this.
comment period.
Is there anything else, Marty?
This is commissioner discussion, not commissioner reports, I guess. I went to the COG meeting, but I can talk about that at the next.
Okay, it's up to you.
No. Discussion. I like your concept, John. I think we should start, as you said, like a lot of the maintenance and projects that we have planned with IDB funds are finishing or beginning to be executed, and it's time to start thinking about the next phase for the port.
Mhm.
Right, and I think that having John's idea of self-sufficiency as always a thought in our heads as we make decisions about every little thing will
Yeah,
be very helpful.
yeah, and so kind of to your points about self-sufficiency, it's also the funding model to sustain these projects, a lot of these projects you take on and you have maintenance costs and
Yeah,
ongoing labor, and so you have to think about how, if it's not gonna generate revenue directly, how does that, how does it get paid for? And yeah, we have to think about all that.
And my comment about the fact that it's been growing over time indicates to me that we have community support of the concept.
Yeah, I think there is.
Very good
People love it.
community support because many people have done it on their own.
Yeah.
And we have the bigger thinkers.
Yeah.
For, it's not a new crazy idea. It's something we're familiar with and we are, those of us who shop at farmers markets appreciate it especially.
Yeah, and we have the land here and it's gonna be in demand and, I mean, we can use a small amount of our overall total land at Green Bank Farm for agriculture and still have plenty of space for
To do.
trails and everything else.
Yeah, everything
People
else.
love and benefit, so.
And actually, this thing about the DART, the organization, this disaster relief, where they have like small planes that'll fly in food and help supplies and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
I think Green Bank Farm is a designated DART location.
For helicopters to land, or,
Yeah,
or for
yeah.
like,
Helicopter,
people to gather,
congregate, and
distribute supplies.
Yeah, these are good things.
Put up tents for.
but it's almost like messaging, that this falls under kind of our messaging on the newsletter and website and whatnot.
Yeah,
That, you're paying property taxes, what do you get out of it? Is it,
Hmm,
well, you get an entity that's working on,
yes,
protecting the community from disasters kind of message.
right.
yeah, I like it.
Got it?
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, well, this is the second opportunity for public comment. Is there any?
Anybody on Zoom would like to have public comment? Going once, twice. No public comment.
Okay, you're finished. This meeting is concluded.
All right.
3:21 PM.